Yes, people, how are we all? How are we all? So I'm looking forward to this one. In this one, I'm going to talk about Sam Byram and the team as well and how they interline to make us very good. But in this one, I'm going to talk about predominantly Sam Byram and how the setup and how we rely on him to play well. And his performance does dictate a lot of the time how we play. Let's just get straight into it. Let's go. We'll start off from his FB stats. FB ref. We'll start off from his FB ref stats here. And this is compared to people who played similar minutes in the Championship fullbacks for him. So this is a good comparison. And what stands out for me initially in Sam Byram's play is the constant normal to very high percentiles in terms of successes. It's consistent. Nothing stands out as red. And let me just clarify, tackles is number of tackles. This is not percentage of tackles won. This is number of tackles, by the way. It doesn't make a lot because we're a high possession side. And look at the wheel. Everything is consistent. There's nothing that's bad. Everything is good to consistent to excellent, right? And that's what you need. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. It's very important we have balance. Balance in this side is vital. Balance is really important in this team. Sam Byram epitomises that, and fullbacks often do, and Daniel Farke's system. Well, I'll show you why. But I just want to go down these stats, and feel free to pause them because they are very impressive. Feel free to pause any minute. Look at his pass types, his goal and chance creation, which is ridiculous. Defensively, and this is what I mean by balance. So look at percentage of dribblers tackled. So when he's been in a dribbling situation at him, percentage tackled, 65%. And look, this could be someone that can dribble past him. This could be someone that can stop and pass it back. And that doesn't count as a tackle. Doesn't mean they're beating him. Right? Challenged. He challenges a low amount, as you can see. 48 percentile, below average challenges. 68%. Challenges lost, decent. He's very good defensively. Of course, we know about his attacking output. We've seen it up here in the chance creation section. In the stats. It's all there. Progressive stuff. That's good. That's what we need in our fullback balance. So let's get into that right now. Let me show you what I mean by that. So here's the graph of average positions in the Huddersfield game. And I know it's wild when you think about it. Look at Sam Byram here. Our furthest wide player. Our player who maintains the width. But not only that, the height. See the red, this is where his average position is. The red heat map suggests he was a lot higher in his attacking. And that's because we had more of the ball. And that's where we're better. So we need to find ways, for me, of how we can have more of the ball. Because that allows Sam Byram to come into it more in an attacking sense. Which means we can create overloads and combinations in wide areas. Which is where we're brilliant. Especially, and you look at the players around him, you can see the overloads here. You can see the combinations. Look at this triangle. There's no triangle on this side. This is where we have Dan James, and this is where he's our outlet on the right, where we can do that quick switch ball when we break through the middle or on counters. Dan James almost cheats. He holds his width and he stays high. There's nothing worse than the winger that does that. Again, we can allow this because we are relying on more possession, meaning we believe we will be counted less because we have more of the ball. And we're relying to be good in possession, and that's why for me Kamara is also important in this team. And you can see the width of Sam Byram, the height, and you can see Somerville in these areas higher up, Jorginho Ruta, average position, and Glenn Kamara on the left, almost playing deeper than Sam Byram on average. Which is crazy. Those are the combinations. And these four players here are the four players, the technical players who are good on the ball, who are going to create combinations on the left. Because you can see here, all of our play is down the left. Jamie Shackleton, our right back, is covering for Kamara in there, as is Ampadu, to allow these four to get in the middle on combinations. So that's where we break teams down. Look, compare it to the Stoke game. Look at that. Look how balanced it is. Look how flat it is. You see? We have height, we have definition, and we have width from our fullback. Look how high he is. Let's look in the Stoke game. It's below. Look at his average position. It's behind the halfway. As opposed to this one, where it's above halfway, a lot higher. When he's further back, that's less of a person to be able to have those combinations in high areas, which makes us predictable. It doesn't create overloads. And the balance here is you'd think this is better, but it isn't, because it's down to attributes. The reason Dan James is up here by himself is because we don't want him in these combinations. We want Dan James high and wide to get on the final ball, whether that's a shot or a cross. That's his role. And that's the importance of role. And this is all dictated by the height of Sam Byram. Yeah, so for me, this is how Sam Byram can be really effective, right? And how often do we see ourselves in these situations here? Well, we've got the ball and we're trying to break down a team that's kind of been semi-aggressive, but kind of man-for-man in midfield as well. So the nine's obviously trying to press Strauch a little bit, or maybe not, maybe he's sitting a bit deeper. So that then thinks, well, Ampadu's going to try and find the space so we can create space out wide. You see Shaq and Rodon out this area. But then all they'll do, Ampadu gets it here. They'll just anticipate that. They'll just move across. He'll do half and half in there. He'll be tight on Joel Perreault. He'll be tight man for man on Kamara. It's very passive. Same again, we'll come out here. He'll do half and half. Kamara will come across. Strauch might come in there. Ampadu might try press up. But that's when they'll just drop the 10. And it's kind of a bit like this. Kind of a bit man for man. And so what do? We go out wide. And we're isolated. It's man for man in here. There's not enough movement. There's no overloads. So this is what we need to do. And this is when we're effective. And this is when Sam Byram comes into it. Because when it's man for man like this, you're hard to break down. You're relying either on a really risky ball through the lines into Jorginho Rutter to then rely on him 1v1 to turn, or at the other side, Somerville. Those are what you're relying on. Or maybe Joe Perreault comes in there. Joe Perreault can get it in there and James can make that run. That's what we're relying on. It's too passive, and it's too kind of predictable. As we saw in the reference to Stoke, where everyone was in the same line, too many lines, just too straight, no angles to create passes. Now, this is what we need to do in these situations. And this is how it's Sam Byram who can massively affect that. So we have the ball in these areas again. It's the same thing. It's man for man. There's not really any space unless we really react quick and do a little pass round. So this is what I like. And this is where the dynamic comes into it. Sam Byram just makes this run. Somerville just tucks inside here. There you're seeing it already. You're already seeing the picture. And if that's happened quick and you've been training on that, these guys are not going to be able to react. They're going to have to communicate quick on what's happened. Sam Byram will do this. Kamara will just drop into this half space as this guy's wondering what to do, half and half. They're shuffling over, they're shuffling over, they're shuffling over. And then as this guy's reacting, the ball's already into Kamara here. And this is where you can see the combinations. This is where Jorginho joins the party. You see the combinations now. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the guys. The problem with Stoke is this. So when we had the ball in these areas, we're too passive. And whether that's instruction for Sam Byram to stay deeper, or we just couldn't get in areas where he could be progressive with it. And this is down to one, trying to break down this block in here and the movement of the midfielders. So what we did a lot against Huddersfield was Kamara just dropped really deep into these areas. Sam Byram just pushed up. Somerville just went even higher. And then you've got Rutter and Perreault in these areas just mixing it up. Shaq comes in here. Ampadu can come into there. Like that. So now when Kamara drops into here and he gets on the ball, one, this guy's in no man's land. He doesn't know where to come or go. This guy doesn't know where to come and go. And that's where the confusion comes in. So they push over. They shuffle over. Right? He's going to do half and half because Shaq's coming here as well. So now you can see how Dan James becomes important and how his role can be defined. And when Kamara gets that ball in there, this is when the trigger is here. Somerville, Byram, Rutter. There it is. There's a combination. Ball into Somerville. What did he do? Does he press? Does he press? Because he's turning with it now. and he's running at you 1v1. And you've got a combination here. Barrow's watching as well. Mara's always around. This is the area and the height and the width of Sam Byram and Kamara in time is just completely confusing fullbacks. Of course, you can go man for man, but the issue is when you know what you're going to do and the opposition doesn't, you have 2 or 3 seconds on them. That's why we saw the combinations down the left extremely important. And what might happen in these situations is also what we saw, where Rutter just makes that space and Somerville just drives 1v1 now. Just goes by himself. You know, Perot's making that run. It drags him across. And now he's in this position. Got Shaq coming inside here. Taking the 11 away. Somerville's just driving down with the ball. Now what? Pace. Through ball. For me, there's a lot of reasons why. It's 2 balls on the pitch. There's a lot of reasons why we create goals. And this is a block situation. This is not necessarily a counter. And it's obvious on the counter why we're so deadly, because we have Rutter and Somerville who are ridiculously faster, more skillful than anyone else they come up against. But in these areas here, combinations are important. It could even be this. If say we're a little higher and Strauch has the ball here, it could be a little movement. Rodon's here. Obviously, the 9's trying to cut that off. All right. So maybe, you know, Somerville goes into that hole. Or maybe Byram goes into that hole. Somerville peels off. And it's a quick ball into there. Mara pushes in. And there's the combination again. There's the 4. Even this. Byram's out there. Mara comes into here. Right, he'll be over there. Mara's in here. He's made that run. He knows exactly what Strout wants. Straight into him. Boom. There's the 4 again. And there's a combination. There's so many ways. And you got to remember, these guys are reacting to everything we do. So if we're quicker and more intelligent on the ball than them, they can't keep up with us. And Sam Byram's a huge part of that. Huge part of that. I want to shout out Dan James as well. And again, look at these stats. And this is what we want from an effective Dan James. Look, pass completion isn't his thing. Hence why this is so important that he's this guy here and not in this. Because that's not his skill set. It's Somerville's skill set. It's Jorginho's and Kamara and Byram's skill set. They're extremely good at this bit. James is good at this bit. That's why every other number here is extremely high. And I mean high. Pass attempted as well. Aggressive carries. 81% now. Touches. 87. Progressive passes recorded. 93%. 12. It's all about what position we play. We find these guys and how they are effective. And look, this was a bit janky because look, I need to do the automatic, the one where you create an animation, but I seriously haven't got time. So I'm just trying to explain it. And this isn't perfect. You can understand how the movement, when we have the ball here, how the movement of these guys high up the pitch really help give us overloads in these wide areas, and how attracting players across just creates more space for Dan James. And again, if they decide to play another one at the back to cover that, now we have a simple ball there. What is he really going to leave that? If he leaves this area, you've got Kamara. And there's a combination again. There's the spaces. So he can't leave there. He's got to shadow. The 10's even deeper, and he allows Pascal Strout to have the ball. Again, it's just an easy combination in here. Quick turn, movement, anything, literally anything. Give it Rutter in this area, and you're finished. And that's where we're good, because we have players and intelligent players who know the movement, and we have to be consistent with that. There's so many ways in which we can be effective. And like I said, even if they do that, and they say they do this, 10's a lot deeper. Ampadu, you can't show for Ampadu. We'll just simply go across to Rodon, and as they're coming across here, you've got Shaq, who can either tuck inside and give space for James, 1v1 out wide, or he can come out, drag him out. As these guys are coming across, that's the movement from Joel Perot, who can create a triangle. Dan James stays high up. Do not want Dan James to get in these areas. It's not effective there. He's effective when he stays on the last man and he's our width on the other side. His teams don't know how to deal with that. It's too quick. That's what we're doing well at the moment. What we did well against Huddersfield and what we have to do well against Leicester because they are a very good side. Have a lot about them. Use the effective tools we have the best way. Use the attributes of the players in the best way. What's been quiet for all this is Joe Perreault, but what Joe Perreault does is this. He doesn't leave this area necessarily. He's very bothered about these areas. He's that bounce player. Ampadu has it in here and there's no options on and he's tight. That's where Perreault's that little bounce player. Just in there. You might have the guy behind him, just a little bounce player. Boom, boom. That's what he does. That's how he's effective. Maybe he has to come back. Ampadu gets it in there. Straight to Perreault, back to Rodon. That's where Perreault's good. Because he draws this guy out. Perreault's very good at that. Working in these areas just at the edge of the box. It's effective when it works. And I want to see this. This is how we're effective. Not this. This. Because these are the combinations. These are the areas in which we cause problems for the opponents. Again, look at the combination. 8-10. Slightly deeper. Again, we didn't break them down as much because of that. It's coming. We are looking better. We are creating a style where we're getting the best out of each individual talent we have in our team. They're becoming more effective. Done it with Dan James now. That's his role in most situations. Sam Byram, for me, better when he's attacking. But I think that's predominantly thingied on whether Shaq is there because Shaq can play a lot centrally. I think he's more confident at doing that, which covers Kamara's space, which then gives Ampadu another role. As opposed to when Archie Gray plays, he stays a bit wider. So again, he's learning that role. It's about confidence. This is what it should look like for me. This is how we're most effective, and this is what's the best. And a lot of that is down to this man, who plays extremely high and just creates overloads. And also has the nous to get back and understand when it's time to get back. Great stuff, honestly. It's going to be a tough game, and I'll do a review eventually on Leicester. It's going to be a tough game. We've got to be ready for it. No doubt about it. Look, I'm not table watching. I couldn't care less about table. Just because that's, working in football. If you look at the table, you might as well give up. Like, I don't have that. Never give up. Could be 25 points behind. I don't care, right? That's a challenge. Let's see what we've got then. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough at the end of the day. You don't make it. At the end of the day, we don't make it. But we'll do everything each game to make sure we do make it. So I don't care who's top. What are we doing? How are we playing? That's what I'm bothered about. Yeah, I appreciate support. See you in the next one, I bet.